When I was in Australia, I did contract work as well. I was like a trainee assistant. I love that stuff. Like I find it so cathartic, like working with my hands, working with tools. And it just feels like so empowering and very like girl power. Like, yeah, I can run a tool. I know how to do this.
Hi, I'm Kim Tolson and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance-based private therapy practice and a multi-six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. I'm so excited to have Jenn Seniuk. Did I say it right?
Yeah, that's great.
Here with us today as a guest. So Jennifer, I met her through the Traveling Therapist Facebook group, and I learned that she is Canadian. So I was super excited to have her on today to just talk about, the perspective of a Canadian therapist and how can they make it work as a traveling therapist. So I'm so glad you're here, and I'd love if you'd introduce yourself and then let us know, how did you go from being a traditional therapist to a traveling therapist?
I'm so excited to be here. It's so funny because I actually saw your group because it said the traveling therapist, and I was like, well, I'm the traveling art therapist. So obviously there's like-minded people in this group. I'm not alone.
I love that.
It was so good. So I'm in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'm out of two practices right now, and I'm working private practice, just contracted with both. My one practice, I'm working with adults in trauma and queer teens. And then the other practice, it's kids and teens on the spectrum that are struggling with ADHD, anxiety, and depression.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been really fun. And it's weird to have roots down because usually I am like such a traveler. So I graduated from school in 2016 out in Pennsylvania.
Oh, nice. Right.
Just aside of Pittsburgh. And then I was like, well, if I go home, I'm never going to travel again. Like I'll probably set up a little bit of roots. It will be different.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to Australia. And then I left.
Did you really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I came home for 6 months until like my visa was approved and I could get like some finances stuff organized and like everything I needed. Wow. And then I went to Australia for 2 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. We got to talk about that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was the start. Cause I was like, well, I'm just going to travel around and pick up random jobs, like whether it's therapy, whether it's art therapy, whether it's just something random. And then I ended up working on a dairy farm on and off for the 2 years I was there.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. But it all ties in. It's not just random. And so it was so funny. This town was so like, it's teeny tiny, super quaint. Everyone's like really close knit. And the family I was living with knew an art therapist in town.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So random. And so her and I ended up connecting, and we ended up running pro bono art therapy groups for moms. And then we did like a spin-off group for their kids.
Oh my God. How cool is that?
It was so fun. So fun.
Wow. So you were working on the dairy farm for money, but doing the pro bono art therapy for people in the community there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, is that because the community like couldn't afford the services, or was it because you couldn't work and provide those services based on, your training and licensure and all that stuff? I'm just curious.
Mm-hmm. So the person I ended up partnering with, she was kind of going through an art therapy program, and she just wanted a mentorship. And because I had a master's from the States, it was different from her program. So we both agreed to do pro bono. We could have done it for donation or something like that, but we decided to do it pro bono just for everyone in the community.
I love that.
Yeah.
How cool is that? So what was the name of the town? Just curious.
Bordertown.
Wow.
So on my podcast, there's quite a few people from South Australia that listen because I was from there. So shout out to Bordertown.
Yeah. I love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then so when I was working on the farm, Like I had a lot of time to think. Like you have
Yeah.
2 hours in the morning when you're milking, you're out on the tractors and stuff, you're out like feeding and whatever. Like you just have a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, there's this gap in my travels. Like I'm talking to people about art therapy. I'm so passionate about it, but they're looking at me with these blank stares.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay, that sounds cool. Okay, this is a problem. And so I was like, how can I be the bridge in this?
Mhm.
Like with people that want to know more and then just traveling. And I was like, oh my God, I'll just be a traveling art therapist.
Yes.
No one really talks about it. So like, why can't I be that person? Like, I'm so passionate about travel. I'm so passionate about advocacy for mental health. I'm so passionate about like connecting to people globally.
Wow.
So I'm like, this is going to be it. I'm just going to do it. I don't know anyone. So that's why when I saw your group, I was like, oh my God,
It's like perfect fit.
people that get it, like they really get it.
Yeah. Oh God, I love that mission so much just to be able to do that. So where has that taken you, that being the traveling art therapist? Like how have you expanded upon that idea? Like what are you doing with that? Like let us know.
So I created a global art therapy project and it's on my Instagram page. It's tagged at the top. So anyone that's an art therapist can join it. And it's just to connect art therapists from around the world. Initiative is just people from everywhere in the world talking about art therapy and what it is.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like I've connected to so many art therapists, like even in countries where I had no idea that art therapy even existed. And so they're in this
Wow.
video as well. So I want to do like a part 2.
Oh, nice. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it's just people with a short little statement, like what is art therapy, how they're using it. And then there's the Instagram side and then like a full YouTube video.
Oh, I love that. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yes.
Yeah. So
How
that's,
amazing.
thank you. That's one of the things I'm doing. And it's been so cool to connect with people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you
Yeah.
have a podcast too, right? That,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Yeah.
want to
So,
tell us about that in case anybody's listening and wants to check it out?
yeah, sure. So it's called Art Therapy Is.
Mm.
And so so it started actually with a good friend of mine in the UK and her and I had done it together. And then so it was our art therapy life was the original one, but her life got so busy. So we had to split. So I took over the
Yeah.
podcast and now it's just Art
Oh,
Therapy Is.
nice.
But in each episode, I go around and ask complete strangers on the street, like, what is art therapy? And then they answer it. And that's also on the show.
Oh, I love that. I know I started following it. I need to go listen to it some. I think that's so interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Oh, go ahead.
sorry, I just have so much. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Tell me. Tell me. I love it. Whatever you want to talk about.
The biggest piece of being the traveling art therapist is I have acquired a school bus, and that's like what I'm currently renovating.
Yes. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, so that also, like, it's so interesting how random all these things are, but
Mhm.
also not so random. Like, they're just very in alignment.
Yes.
So when I moved back from Australia, I was so sad. Like, I was so sad. I did not want to
Oh,
leave at all.
why'd you have to leave?
Wait,
Was it just time or?
yeah, my visas ran out.
Oh, the visa. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was so sad. So I came back and I didn't want to be in Calgary. Like I'm from this area, but I was like, it makes the most sense. Like I have the most connections here. My family's close, my friends are close. So I'll just do it. And then I was working at an inpatient women's facility. And I was talking about how my dream is to own a school bus because I lived in a bus when I was in Australia.
Uh-huh. Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. This guy I was with, he owned a school bus and he had rented it out or renovated it out because he was a contractor.
Oh my gosh.
So we lived in that and I was like, this is awesome. This is so
Wow.
cool. So I was like, well, I don't really know anyone in Canada that does this. Like I know there's a lot of like van life people, but I was like, I want a bus.
I love that.
Yeah. And then so a friend of mine at work was like, oh my God, you want a bus? I have a bus.
No.
Do you want the bus? And it was so like we've known each other for months already. And it was like this light bulb moment of like, there's a bus for you. Like, I'll get you the bus. Yeah, it was so wild.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. And
Yeah.
so what kind of bus was it?
So it's a 1985 Bluebird school
Okay.
bus. So the bus was actually in the next province over in British
Okay.
Columbia at her
Mhm.
parents' cabin. It was next door and it had been abandoned. So I had to get it towed out to my parents' farm.
Oh my gosh.
So that in itself was like a whole thing, but it was nice because it was already gutted. So I didn't have to remove all the seats
Oh,
and all the
nice.
metal stuff. So I just had to remove like the paneling and the insulation and stuff. And that's kind of where I'm at now is everything's pretty much gutted. And so next summer I'm going to start building it out because it's way too cold right now to
Oh my gosh.
be working in there.
Yeah, before we hit record, she was talking about snow, and I'm like, I'm down in Florida. I could not even
Mhm.
imagine like
Yeah.
having to deal with snow right now. But oh
Yeah.
yeah, so it's probably way too cold to be working inside of a bus right now. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Sometimes I bring like a little heater, but it doesn't cut
Yeah.
it.
So how are you going to do the build outs and stuff? Are you going to do it yourself or like hire people to help, or how's that process going to go?
So I've done most of it myself because also
Wow.
when I was in Australia, I did contract work as well. I was like a tradie assistant. I love that stuff. Like I find it so cathartic, like working with
Hmm.
my hands, working with tools. And it just feels like so empowering and very
Yeah.
like girl power. Like, yeah, I can run a tool. I know how to do this.
Heck yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to see pictures of this once it's all built out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
Especially
so
being so
excited.
artistic. It's probably going to be really creative and amazing.
That's
Yeah.
my hope. I really want to have like an event when I get the subfloor in and have
Mm.
people come out and write messages on the subfloor before I lay the floor down.
Oh, I love that. Oh, take that good energy with you, even if you
Yeah.
can't see it. Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, very cool. So when you were in the bus in Australia, were you guys like traveling around to different places, or was it like kind of like stationary somewhere in that little town where you were working and
Yep.
stuff?
So this was up in the northern part of Australia. I made my way around the country. And it didn't run. So it was just
Oh,
like
gotcha.
on a block of land,
I see. Yeah.
but it worked great.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah. So once you get your schoolie going, what's the plan? What will you be doing with it?
So I wanna do like a true coast to coast to
Yeah.
start. So I'm not on a coastline right now. So I'm gonna head out west. I have friends that are out there too on some of the islands. So they're like, yeah, yeah, come park up with us, start here. And then I want to go all the way across Canada. And then once I get to the East Coast, kind of go up through the northern bits.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Oh
my
my gosh.
hope is to one, like bring so much advocacy to art therapy in general.
Hmm.
Because I mean, if people don't even know what it is, how can they access it as a mental health resource?
Exactly. Hmm.
And then I also want to bring like mental health to smaller communities that don't have this access. So like come there, educate them, show them how they can do stuff on their own if they can't afford the therapy in itself.
Yeah.
Just connect, collaborate, run workshops, pop-ups, open art studios, and then have my clients from Alberta.
That's what I was going to ask. So
Yeah.
that'll be the model, like these pop-ups. It'll be like, hey, I'm going to be in Calgary for a week or 2 weeks, and I'm going to
Yeah.
do these workshops, and you'll just post them on Facebook or somehow get the word out to everybody in that community to come by and do these events with you.
Yeah. That's my hope.
Oh my gosh. How cool is that?
Yeah, I'm excited. I also really hope that like by the time I'm on the road, I'll have a virtual assistant too who can do all this planning and booking for me. Like there's just,
Mhm.
like there's so much to go into the back end stuff.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Totally. I was just recording my like monthly update podcast before this, and I'm like, oh my God, you guys, this project I'm working on is like the back end is just a mess. It's so hard to
Mhm,
do all that stuff. Yeah.
mhm.
So I hear you.
Totally.
Yeah. So what are your pop-ups like? I'm just curious, like what would be a pop-up workshop that you would do somewhere?
So what I'm finding right now, like in Calgary, is like a lot of people are reaching out and they don't have to be in the mental health field, but
Mhm.
they just want to offer something creative.
Oh,
Oh, there you are.
I think can you hear me? Darn it.
Yeah, I can hear
Sorry.
you. That's okay.
Can we
Sometimes it's on
can
my
we
end too.
yeah, can we say that again about the pop-up and
Mhm.
what you're finding? Because I think it cut out. I didn't hear what people are finding, what you're finding with people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm finding is even people that aren't in the mental health field, like they just want to collaborate or bring some sort of creativity like into their practices.
Yeah.
So what I love doing is like someone has this need, like they want to bring in some sort of art therapy or some sort of creative expression or something that's uniquely different, either for their staff or for their clients. And then I kind of come in and meet them where they're at, and I can create something around what their vision is. Like the art therapy is so like meldable around that.
Yes. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. And then I've also done like an art therapy open house. It was called like, what the heck is art therapy? And people came in and there was different stations of where they can make art. And there was explanations like, okay, as you're doing this, like notice in your body, how are you feeling? What is it like to make art next to a stranger? What is it like to be witnessed making art in a group of people?
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite positive, the feedback that we got from that. And it was just people were like, I was so scared. It was terrifying, but yet it felt so safe and so comfortable to be seen in that vulnerable way.
Oh, I love that. Yes. How amazing.
Yeah. And then just a lot of like conversation about what is art therapy. And then I do a little talk like, what the heck is art therapy? This is what it is. This is what it can look like. These are your resources. Like if you're not from here, here's a list that you can go access.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's going to be amazing. And then just as you're doing that, you're just traveling across Canada.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never done that before. So
yeah, that's amazing. Oh my gosh. How exciting.
Thanks.
So, and we had talked about before we hit record, we were kind of talking about you might want to make your way down through the United States too with your schoolie eventually after you do this journey.
Yeah. I would love to. I would so love to go through all the states.
Yes.
Oh, it'd be so good. So as a Canadian art therapist, because I'm registered with this association, I can see art therapy clients in non-registered art therapy states, is my understanding. I hope I got that right.
Not like non-registered in the United States you're talking about, or are you talking about Canada? Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have like there's a map of America and all the states that are like not licensed as an art therapy state just yet. So I can see clients as art therapy clients in those states.
Wow, that's amazing. So how does Canada, well, I guess you got your license in the United States though, right? Or are you considered licensed in Canada? Like, how does all that work? I don't have any idea. Like, can you tell me how that all?
Yeah, it's so unique and so interesting. So I went to school in the States. I'm ATRP, so I'm a provisional art therapist out of the States.
Okay.
I'm almost at the end of December a full ATR, like a registered art therapist out of the States.
Wow.
All of that just transfers over to Canada. So I just have to submit the paperwork, but I will be a registered Canadian art therapist at the end of this month.
Wow.
And then so in the States, you would add on LPC.
I see. So it's like equivalent to an LPC.
Yeah. So a counselor, like what I have would be equivalent to LPC, and that's for Alberta, unless I wanted to become like a psychologist. It's a whole other field, but it's so much work. And I was like, a counselor works for me. That's fine.
That's how I was too. I was like, I think LCSW is fine.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be the equivalent.
Yeah.
And then I really want to take the board exams in the States just to say I've had it.
I was just wondering if you would do that. So you might do that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I got this far. Yeah.
And then, I mean, you could see, so if you did that, could you see clients in Pennsylvania while you're in Canada?
That part, I'm not sure. That's what I was like, oh, I wonder if I traveled out there, if I could.
You probably could, because I think in Pennsylvania for LPCs, as long as your client's physically located there, you could be anywhere. So you could probably do that if you wanted to. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. We are Dr. Melissa Thiessen
and Dr. Karen Dick,
the psychologists behind the new podcast, Thrivival 101, a fresh take on self-care for female mental health clinicians, which is part of the Psychcraft network of podcasts.
We are so proud to be part of this network, along with Kim Tolson of The Traveling Therapist.
If you haven't discovered Thrivival 101 yet, you can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts.
As mental health clinicians, we all know that self-care is important. We talk with our clients about it all the time, and yet, ironically, we often struggle with it ourselves and often do so in silence. That's why we created Thrivival 101, to help us all break the silence and lessen the struggle.
We hope that through our down-to-earth discussions with other like-minded female mental health clinicians, you will find the courage to elevate your own self-care and move from simply surviving to truly thriving in this work.
Be sure to check us out at intentionaltherapist.ca for a free introduction to our 4C's self-care model and links to more resources designed to help you create the kind of life from which you don't need to escape.
And then what about Canada? Like, how does it regulate what you're doing and where you can be and all of that stuff? What are the rules there?
Yeah, it's so interesting. So CCC is the designation here instead of LPC. So it's for Alberta, like the province. Our provinces are like states in America. So I can work anywhere in Alberta, see anyone in Alberta. I've also applied for the British Columbia licensure as well. So I'll be able to practice out of the 2 provinces.
Okay.
And I can be anywhere.
Okay.
As long as my clients are in the province. And I think my understanding is you have to be in the province or in the country for 6 months minimum a year.
Oh, interesting. So in the province, meaning like you have to be in British Columbia or for 6 months or just in Canada? Is that what you mean?
It's one of the 2, and I can't quite remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you have to be like within your province for 6 months to see your clients, but then you can travel anywhere globally for 6 months.
Interesting. Okay. So there's a bit of planning that'll have to go into that if you wanted to do that. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so unique because it's so different here. Like no one really does it. So it's a lot of trial and error too. And like checking in with the boards, checking with supervisors.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So is there any requirement that you have to see the clients face to face, or can it all be like remote therapy? Like that's fine to do?
As far as I know, you can see them remotely. And I think because of COVID, that really shifted things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure you can be all virtual if you want.
Oh, that's great. Nice.
Yeah.
You just got to do that 6 months. Like, how would they even track? How would you even prove that?
I know.
I mean, I'm a devil's advocate. And, I mean, I guess you want to follow the rules, everybody, but I'm just like, I don't even know.
I know.
I mean, I guess social media or whatever, if you're posting, oh, I was here, but I mean, who would even piece that together, really?
Yeah. I could just say they're old photos.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Not that I'm advocating that. Please, everybody follow the rules, but I'm just curious. Yeah. It's like, how would they even know? So do you have to have an address in those places like that you're registered through for your licensure?
So we don't have to write exams.
Oh, okay.
For CCC and BCCC, I think it is. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, we don't have to write exams for ours here.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah. So
that's great.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't have to, like here for insurance, right? I have to have an address in the state I'm licensed in.
Right.
But I guess you're not really billing insurance for this, right? This would be more like private pay and that sort of stuff up there, right?
So it's different in the sense that, so I will bill my clients. My license number is on the bill. They submit it to their insurance.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then the only thing I have to do is I call these insurance companies like all over Alberta, and I say I want to be registered with them. And then they'll put my name on the list so that my clients can bill.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a couple that like are pretty stingy and don't like the CCC designation. Like they don't like the counseling, but for the most part, I've had pretty good luck with everything else.
Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah.
Does it cover services like in full usually, or the client needs to pay a percentage?
It depends client to client.
Nice.
It depends like what their coverage is. It depends if their spouse also has coverage, what their company is covering. Yeah.
Kind of like here too. Okay. I gotcha. Interesting.
Less legwork for me because I don't have to do the billing on my end.
Yeah, that's nice. Here we just call it like out of network billing basically. So you're not like credentialed with the insurance companies, but we give them the same thing. We call it a super bill here where you just with it's like a fancy receipt, basically, like you're talking about with your license number and the type of service you provided and, the CPT codes and stuff that we use down here.
Yeah.
And then clients can get reimbursed that way if a clinician doesn't want to, actually credential with the insurance company and do their own billing and all that stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So could you do in-network billing there? Like, could you be like paneled with the insurance companies and submit the claims yourself? Or is that not the way it works in Canada?
If I was a psychologist.
Oh, just a psychologist.
Yeah.
Okay. Can do
Yeah.
that. Interesting.
I know. It's so different. Like I was telling someone about this too. I'm like, it's so different in the States. Like when I went there and some of the stuff that I did in the States, like it doesn't transfer here. So I'm like trying to talk to supervisors. I'm like, okay, what do I do here?
Yeah. I bet that's really interesting to try to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because
A
you
lot
actually
of,
went to school here. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting because I actually had a call with someone who went to school in Pittsburgh, like very close to where I went to school.
Oh, wow.
And they're moving to Vancouver, so out in British Columbia, and they're like in a very similar boat. And I was like, this is my time to shine. Let me tell you all about it.
Yes. If anybody needs a consultation, reach
Yeah.
out to her. She can
Yeah.
walk you through how she did this. Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that is so interesting. I feel like there's so many things I need to ask you about this, but I can't think. It's like you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So if you want to come into the United States and you're schooling, what's the visa process like? What do you have to do? Or can
Yeah.
you just pop in? I don't even know if you know. I'm just curious about that for Canadian.
So I was thinking too, like, so where I went to school here in Canada for my undergrad, we were really close to the border, to the Montana border. So we would literally just pop down for an afternoon, go to like a Target run, and then come back. Because everything was so much cheaper in Montana.
Yeah.
Especially if we were having a party, we'd like pop down to the duty store and then come back.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So I can't remember how many days it is you're allowed just to come in, like as a Canadian.
Yeah.
I don't think it's too long though. So I'm not even sure what the visa process would look like because I had to apply for a student visa
Right.
when I was there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I could probably like dip in, dip out.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, anybody can just like take a trip into Canada or in the United States, I would think. But I don't know. I'm curious about that. Like, how long can you do that? How long can you be here? I don't know.
Yeah,
I wish get a visa. I don't even know our current political whatever. You have no idea what's going on with that.
It's so different. Like I feel like anytime I look at stuff, I'm like, oh, it's changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's so interesting. Well, if anybody's listening and let me know.
Yeah.
I'd actually love to know that.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Yes. And what else do I want to ask you about? So you said you're working for 2 clinics right now, right? And that's your income and stuff. Will you continue to work for those 2 clinics while you're doing this trek across Canada, or will you just do your own private practice? Like, what's your plans for that?
So it's nice because I'm contracted out of the one clinic, but the other clinic I'm just renting a space out of. So they're all my clients.
Oh, good.
So they'll be coming with me. I mean, if they're still in therapy at the time when I'm going.
Yeah.
But I could also see myself like still keeping the contract and just doing virtual clients.
Mm-hmm.
We actually so they found me, which is like wild to think as an art therapist because no one really knows about it. So they found me and they were like, hi, we like kind of know about art therapy, but we want an art therapist to help us build an art therapy studio.
What?
So so we just finished. So we're just like filling it now with supplies and stuff. It's so cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. They have so much faith in me. I'm like, what is this?
That's so cool though. I mean, you could technically, test pilot project. I mean, you could put that all over the place if people wanted to open their own studios like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of my
Amazing.
thought too, is like putting it into like an actual manual of like this is what you need. This is the budget kind of thing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Now,
they're so lovely.
Will you be able to go there and work with clients there? Or was it strictly like a contract, like I'm going to help you set this up and then moving on kind of thing?
Both. So it started just as like, we want you just for a couple months to help us with this. And now it's turned into a full year contract where I'm seeing their clients and it's been so good. So good.
That is awesome. So what goes into an art therapy studio? Is it just like every type of art medium you could ever imagine pretty much?
Yeah, it's so they bought a house and they renovated it into a psychology clinic, and they just had this garage. And when I first got there, they were like, okay, like don't judge it. And I opened the door and it was just like tools and wood and sawdust and like stuff hanging from the roof. I was like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
So
Wow.
so they had a contractor come in and he was like, all right, what do you want? What colors do you want? How do you want the floor? Like, what kind of cement do you want? I'm like, okay,
Wow.
we're doing this. So we have like a sitting area for just counseling if anyone
Yeah.
needs that. And then we have I think the fold up tables is like the most important piece because we can move them
Nice.
around for workshops or like an open house that we're having, clients, what you need. And then we just have a wall of supplies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is so cool. Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
Really
And
neat.
lots of plants. I'm all about the plants. So I was like,
Yeah,
that's like
I
my
love a
one
plant.
thing.
Yeah. Gotta have plants. Oh, how cool is that? I'd love to see
Yeah.
pictures of that too. I bet that's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll definitely send them your way. It's been so fun.
Yeah. How awesome. This has just been so
Yeah.
interesting to hear about all this. Oh my gosh.
Oh, thank you.
So is there anything I didn't ask you about that, that you think people might need to know? Like if they're working in Canada or want to come work in Canada? Just curious. Like your consult from the United States,
Yeah.
was she an American citizen and wants to move up there? And oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
So I'm not totally sure about the visa process.
Okay.
My suggestion with that though is to join backpacker Facebook groups.
Okay.
Like if you are wanting to get a visa here,
Mhm.
those, like I know when I lived in Australia, those sources had the best information about visas and just like where to go and who to connect with. So
Nice.
highly recommend just like connecting to a backpackers group in Canada because the visa process, I've heard a couple different things. Like one, it's a lottery you have to apply for.
Oh, interesting.
And then if you get it, like I know that's from the UK, so I'm not sure how it is from the States.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think visa, like a student visa would be different.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh, I know. But what about taxes? Like, how do taxes work up there? If like you're traveling to different provinces or places, do you have to pay taxes in different places, or how does that work? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know.
That's a good question. So I have an amazing accountant and I
Okay.
just literally keep everything and hand it to them and I'm like, thank you.
That's what I do too.
Yeah. Cause I know when I lived in the States, like I had to fill out extra forms
Yeah.
and like
Okay.
have a whole other thing. And they were
Yeah.
like, okay, we'll figure
Yeah.
it out. So yeah, I'm like, bless you. This is why I pay you guys.
That really is the best, isn't it? Just trust somebody else to figure it out for you if it's
Yeah.
complicated. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
totally.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm
Oh,
so
I've-
excited to hear about your journeys. Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead.
thank you. I was gonna say I've also been like very inspired by like you and some of the people in the traveling therapist group about
Oh,
like
yeah.
the multiple streams of income when you're
Mhm.
traveling. So good.
Yes.
So I have like a few things that I'm starting. Like I have an
Oh.
Etsy store.
Oh, tell us all about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have an Etsy store that I'm slowly building up and it's based on a scribble. And so the idea is
Oh.
that if you see a scribble, it's meant to represent creative expression. Like that's all you need is a scribble. Like art therapy isn't this big elaborate thing, but
I love
if you
that.
can just scribble, that's a way to access your mental health, to take care of yourself, but also to like have a conversation with no words.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So I have like sweaters, shirts, notebooks, stickers, like everything's on there. I'm also uploading some templates and stuff for the work that I do with my clients. So like bundles about window of tolerance and emotional regulation through art making.
Oh, that is so cool. What's the name of your Etsy store?
Belly I.
VE. Can you spell it?
Yeah. BELLY.
Oh, Belly. Okay. Yeah.
EYE. So that's the name of my company is Belly I Art Therapy.
Oh, I love that. Okay. I got to go follow your Etsy store. Yeah.
Yeah.
How awesome. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're doing the Etsy store and then other things you've got going on too?
I'm hoping to monetize the podcast.
Yes.
And
Okay.
get stuff going with that. I feel like that could be a really good source.
Yeah. And this is, I'll say this out here to anybody listening. I just joined a podcast network for therapists. If you want to know more about it, it's called SciCraft, and we're all in this network together, and we, share each other's podcasts and we share sponsors, and it's really cool. And we collaborate, and it's neat. We started it 2 months ago, so I could send you the information if you want to know more about it.
Sure, that'd be awesome. That's
It's
so good.
It's a cool network, and it's good for growing a therapist podcast because we're all in the therapist podcast space. So I think there's like 6 or 7 of us in there right now.
Cool. I would love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll send you the information so you can join us if you want to. It's like a monthly membership fee, but and this is just for anybody listening. When we bring on sponsors and that sort of thing, we would split the sponsorship, the affiliate income, and all that stuff. So it's really cool because the audience is huge with all of us together, so
totally
putting that out there for the multiple income stream people that are it's a cool network.
So good.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. I'd love to invite you to it.
Sure.
It's really, really neat. Yeah. So you want to monetize the podcast?
Yeah.
What else are you thinking? Are there other ideas or?
So I'm also wanting to work on building like a course.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like that's like down the road when I'm in the bus living. Like there's too much on the go right now, but eventually I want to have some sort of emotional regulation course.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then I've been doing a lot of research about like investing and like female investment and like the like feminist power around investing as a woman too. So
Love that.
I'm really geeking out over that. So I'm like, ooh, I think I need to start investing.
Yeah. Seriously. I mean, I'm so glad I started investing when I did. So it's not, I'm not waiting until I'm like 60 to be like, oh God, maybe I should start trying to grow this money a little bit more than I already am. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Thanks.
I love all of that. I'd love to just hear how you grow and change. And, as an entrepreneur, when I heard you say that about building out the studio for people, I'm like, that probably is a moneymaker. Like you could, this is me doing my coaching I do with people, you could really probably like sell that service, to people. I would think people that are like, gosh, we don't have an art therapy program at all, like these group practices and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I could see that. When you said that, I was like, wow, that's cool.
This is giving me a lot of light bulb ideas.
Yeah. I'm full of them.
That's so good. Okay. Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. It's a bad habit of mine. Like I told somebody I come up with like a new idea every week and I run it by my boyfriend first. I'm like, is this a good idea? He's like, that's not so good. My brain just never stops with this stuff. But
yeah.
Anyway, well, I'm so excited to hear about your journey. So where can everybody follow you and find you if they want to follow you and learn more about what you're doing?
So on Instagram, it's Belly Eye Art Therapy. So BELLYEYE Art Therapy. You can find me on the podcast, Art Therapy Is. I'm also on TikTok under the same Belly Eye Art Therapy handle. I think those are the main ones. If you go to my Instagram page, I have a link to everything on there.
Nice. Perfect. I love that. I think I'm already following you, but I have to get double check.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys will go check out all of her stuff. And if you're wondering about the Canadian stuff, please reach out to her. Because I originally reached out because somebody emailed me and said, Kim, all your stuff is like really United States centric.
Yeah.
How do I find out people from other countries? And I was like, I know somebody in Canada. I'm looking for a Canadian to help guide her. So I was like, I gotta reach out to Jennifer and get her details and stuff to help people that might be living in Canada and wanting to go other places or vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if I don't know the answer, I can help you find it.
Yeah, right. At least you know the system, and because I wouldn't even know who to call in Canada to find out that stuff,
Totally.
But anyway, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is so fun.
Okay, well, take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you love this episode, please leave a review.